Moving on to another story now, and the BBC facing a bit of a backlash after England goalkeeper Mary Earps was crowned BBC Sports Personality of the Year last night, ahead of the likes of snooker player Ronnie O'Sullivan and cricketer Stuart Broad.
Thank you very much. I'm very honoured and humbled. For me, I feel like this is, the ultimate all-round sporting accolade, and I think us as Lionesses and obviously United as well, we've had an incredible couple of years. But this is just, wow. It's not been the easiest journey, and I definitely wouldn't be where I am today without a number of incredible people in my corner. So finally, I just want to say thank you to them. I'm so glad that I can bring some of my loved ones with me today. I'm not going to look at them directly in the eye because that will get a bit much. And who've been with me through the really, really not so great times. And the last 2 years have been absolutely unbelievable. I've done more than I could ever imagine, and for that, I'm truly incredibly grateful, so thank you very much.
But here's the thing, was the Lioness the rightful winner? The Lionesses did reach the final of the World Cup, but critics argue Earps did not win a trophy this year, whereas despite winning the UK Championship and reaching the quarterfinals of the World Snooker Championship, snooker player Ronnie O'Sullivan was not nominated for the award. Let's speak to Rob Maul, one of the judges of this year's Sports Personality of the Year shortlist, also a sports reporter, and was at the event last night. Rob, good to have you with us. Just talk us through this, because I know there's a public contingent to the vote here, rather than, it's not as if, the Director General sits there picking a name to decide who wins. But it does throw up, yet again, some interesting questions about the BBC.
Well, I mean, the panel was 12 people. There were some independent people on there. There were athletes on there. People like Colin Jackson, Ellen White, who was a former footballer, Eleanor Simmons. And they drilled it down to 6 names. And Mary Earps was on that list. She was the bookies' favourite since the summer. I think had the men's England football team got to a World Cup final, we would have, and lost, we would have had a men's footballer on that list, for example, like Jordan Pickford or Harry Kane. So I don't see the argument why she shouldn't be on the list. She should be on the list. She was the best player for England. She was the goalkeeper of the tournament. She kept 3 clean sheets. She saved a penalty in the final. She was involved in a penalty shootout win over Nigeria in the last 16. So she's on the list for merits. And yes, she didn't win the World Cup. She didn't win. The team didn't win their objective of this year, which was to become world champions. But no England men's football team have done that. I've got to World Cup final since 1966 at senior level. So I don't really I don't feel this. It's a bit of a bogus storm, really, I think we're in at the moment.
It's interesting. I guess when you think of people like Ronnie O'Sullivan and you put Ronnie against Mary, you would... I appreciate that scenario didn't present itself. But nonetheless, as viewers, we look at this and think this was a competition that we felt confident the winner would be somebody who was so obviously a winner, whether it was David Beckham, whether it was Andy Murray, a couple of Grand Slams under his belt, whether it was Lewis Hamilton. That's the perception we've had. Certainly, I remember, I'm sure you do as well, Rob, going to school on a Monday morning when Sports Personality of the Year used to be on a Sunday night. And it was a moment of discussion, and you were talking about the best. And I guess this result has thrown up. And by the way, she was also my favourite player from that tournament as well. I thought she was incredible, not least because of my incredible lip-reading abilities, which made it even more entertaining, of course. But I did nonetheless scratch my head and think, this just feels very BBC. How did she beat all of those others? Or how did those others not even get into the mix?
I think on the Ronnie O'Sullivan point, and I was there when he won the title in York earlier this month, it was only the UK Championship. I say only, it's one of the Triple Crown events. But when it came to the World Championships, he didn't win the number 8 this year. He lost in the quarterfinals to Luca Bracel at the Crucible. So I don't think he personally qualified this particular year. He was on the shortlist in 2022 when he won a 7th world title. And he's undeniably popular with your viewers, with our readers at The Sun. People love Ronnie and what he says and what he does. From Mary's perspective, I mean, the public voted for her en masse. I mean, talking to people last night, she got the majority of the votes, a clear majority of all the votes. And it maybe shows the popularity of women's football. Beth Mead won the accolade last year for scoring those goals as England won the Euro 2021 tournament. And Mary Earps guided them to a World Cup final this year. Look, it's always going to create debate. I understand what you're saying. When I was growing up in the 90s, you'd always watch it the last Sunday before Christmas. It was a big thing. Maybe the TV figures have gone down. I don't know what they are. Last night was only the third time in 70 shows, 70 years, that it was on a midweek. It's always been traditionally Sunday. So that's probably what the format they're going to use going forward. But it does create debate. And obviously Josh Kerr, the athlete, the world champion over 1,500 metres, he was missing from the list. And that caused a lot of controversy last week. But look, it's created debate. I've seen Piers Morgan's tweets. I can see his point of view. I don't agree with it on this occasion. But look, it's got everyone talking about Spotty today, hasn't it?
Yeah, indeed. Special mention, I suppose, for Kenny Dalglish. I mean, I think we can all pretty much get around that one and say, look, I mean, as a kid, Kenny Dalglish was an arch enemy. I was a Chelsea fan. You know, I didn't want any of these red characters mooching around with success, but he had lots of it. He was a tricky character in a positive way on the pitch, and it looked about right to see him pick up that lifetime achievement.
And he was choking back the emotion, wasn't he, when he was on stage with a lot of his teammates and his family. Kenny Dalglish, what a supreme player that he was for Liverpool, Celtic and Scotland's, you know, won 3 European Cups, scored in at least one of them the winner, was a tremendous manager, was a player manager at Liverpool when they won the double, obviously. And then with Hillsborough as well, the tragedy that he was there, the manager at the time, he went to all the funerals. He was a beacon of hope for Liverpool and that community. And him and his wife have raised a lot of money for charity. So, yeah, completely deserving of that Lifetime Achievement Award. And also won the league title with Blackburn in 94, 95. So Indeed. What a man, what a life that he has led.
Darn right. Absolutely. Rob, listen, great to have you on. Thank you. We'll speak again soon, I'm sure. Rob Maul, sports journalist over there at The Sun.